We
All
should
right,
be
ready?
live, and we are recording.
Great.
So,
Thank you. Thanks, Melissa. And thank you, everyone, for joining. It looks like we are north of 100 attendees, so great turnout. Appreciate you all making some time this afternoon to talk about this important topic, artificial intelligence in the classroom. I'm John Cramen, the CIO at the Mississippi Department of Education, and I'm joined by my colleague, Melissa Banks, who is the head of our data use and professional learning, and has been our lead on digital learning for the last several years. And we're joined by a special guest from Pearl, Chris Chism, superintendent, who has been a national figure now on the national stage around artificial intelligence. And we'd like to share with you today a little bit about what we've released at the department with regard to guidance for districts around artificial intelligence. And then we'll turn it over to Chris and talk about what he's got going on in Pearl and the lessons that he's learned as he's done a lot of deep dive early on in the artificial intelligence space. So why don't we go ahead and move forward? The Department of Education is always committed and has always been committed to the goal of helping our students be successful, and in turn helping the districts and the schools through policy and leadership to help Mississippi be excellent, which we are, and we have been growing for a long time, and a standout state in the United States in the post-COVID era as we were going into COVID. Next slide. And in the Office of Technology and Strategic Services within MDE, we easily can kind of get associated with this question about world-class data systems, but there is a connection between technology, data, and all of the goals that the board has committed the department to, from early learning to professional development to everything in between. And as we think about artificial intelligence, this is all coming through in new ways that it's both reassuring to see that there's a lot of things that are in place and a lot of things that we're already accustomed to, but there are going to be continuing challenges as we move forward and really exciting opportunities. And we hope today's webinar will help you all begin to hone your thinking about how artificial intelligence will become most positive as a benefit to your students, to your teachers, and your schools going forward. And with that, let me turn it over to the always wonderful Melissa Banks. So Melissa, over to you.
thank you, Mr. Cramen. So, welcome again, everyone. We appreciate you joining us today. Before we get too deep into the world of artificial intelligence, I want to just pause a minute and I want to make sure that we all have a common understanding of a lot of the terms that you're going to hear thrown around today. I think this is one of kind of the biggest areas of artificial intelligence where everyone just gets a little bit confused because it's such a deep concept and there's so many different levels and different, like I said, terminology that we can use to talk about it. So just to set the stage, artificial intelligence, we have a pretty simplified definition up here on the screen, but it's simply just the ability of a computer or a robot to mimic human tasks. And these tasks can require learning, they can require problem solving on behalf of the computer. And really what it is a lot of times is the computer recognizing patterns and making predictions. So that's the overall definition of artificial intelligence. But if we dig a little deeper, we have some more terms that start popping up and coming to the surface. And one of those terms is machine learning. And machine learning is just the process that allows machines to learn from large amounts of data. And that is what is happening a lot of times in artificial intelligence. The machines are learning from these large data sets. And those data sets can include images, it can include videos, text, audio, and the machine is ingesting all of that data and learning from it. Another way that artificial intelligence happens is through large language models. And this is just a model that can understand and generate human language. So this is how machines can generate human language. And this is what we think of when we think of ChatGPT and Google Bard and several other things. And with that comes the term of generative AI, where the AI is actually producing something on its own, whether it's a text, like I said, images, or audio files. So those are kind of our definitions that we're going to be living in today. Now that we have all of that squared away, let's dive into looking at some opportunities that come along with artificial intelligence in the classroom, but also recognizing these areas where we need to have caution. So there are a lot of really amazing opportunities for how AI can be used in the classroom, how it can enhance student learning. It can help adapt to student needs so that they can master content, and it can provide students with personalized learning experiences. We can use AI to provide basic accommodations or support to students, such as text to speech or speech to text, translation services. A lot of those types of things can be handled by AI. It can serve as a brainstorming partner for our teachers to enhance lessons within their classroom. When we use it with students, it can help stimulate discussions. It can create opportunities for our students to apply critical thinking skills, spark curiosity, unlock creativity. And one of the biggest benefits for all of us is its ability to be able to increase productivity. And Mr. Chisholm is actually going to talk about a lot of these really amazing opportunities here in just a few minutes. And while all of these are really exciting and the possibilities of having a positive effect on student outcomes is just so huge, we also have to pause and stop and recognize where there are areas of caution and where we need to make sure that we put appropriate procedures and policies in place and train our students and our teachers and our faculty and staff on how to use AI appropriately. So, some of those cautions include it creates opportunities for cheating and for plagiarism. Um, it can provide inaccurate or biased information. So, that machine learning and those large language models that we were talking about earlier, where it's just ingesting these huge amounts of data, if the data that it's ingesting is incorrect or if it's biased, then that's what the AI is going to give back to us is inaccurate or biased information. So we always need to be very cautious that we're really checking the information that those AI tools are providing. If teachers are using it to help with lesson plans and things, we need to make sure that the information, the activities, the assessments actually align to the standards and that they meet the rigor and intent of those standards. Unfortunately, people can use AI to generate harmful or inappropriate images or information that is simply not true and that's made specifically with the intent to cause someone harm. So we need to be aware of those things. And then also, there are opportunities for increased risk to data privacy and other security situations that we just need to be aware of. Again, we have to pause and consider these cautions, but what an amazing possibility lies ahead of us and how we can use AI. And when we pause to think about um, a big transformative digital tool like AI, we want to pause and just stop and consider, like, always go back to what is our foundation? What's the foundation, the educational foundation in your classroom, in your school building, in your district? And how can we use AI to support that foundation? So, what's the vision and mission? What is it? Are we focused on school improvement? Are we focused on high quality instruction? Are we focused on student outcomes? What exactly is it that we're looking for? Do we want to integrate technology better? College and career readiness? What are those foundational goals? And then how can we build AI or use AI to build a network of supports that is going to truly enhance those goals? I always think about in my own personal um, learning journey as a high school student, I was around when the internet was really starting to become a really big thing. And our version of AI at that point was Ask Jeeves. I don't know if anybody else in here remembers Ask Jeeves, but I remember it being a really big deal at the time when teachers were like, oh, they can now go to the internet and they can find information and they can ask questions. And that was a revolutionary, transformative moment in my educational career. But look at how we've embraced the internet and all of its amazing opportunities while understanding and appreciating the cautions that come with it. And now the internet and all of these other digital tools, we've woven them into the network of supports for our students. And this is now just another tool that we need to weave in into what we are providing for our students. So when we're thinking about how this impacts classroom instruction, I know that many of us are a little fearful of AI. It's scary. That whole list of cautions that I read off, they are serious, and we need to really pause, like I said, and make sure that we are giving appropriate consideration to those things. But before you just completely dismiss I want to remind you that AI has actually been around for a long time, and you're likely already using AI in your classrooms, in your schools, in your districts, because it's already built into a lot of different tools that we use every day. For example, speech to text tools, that's powered by AI. Spell checkers and grammar checkers, the creating live captions or transcripts from meetings or PowerPoints, that's all powered by AI. Translation tools, predictive text. I know that I love predictive text, not only on my cell phone, but when I'm typing up an email and it likes to go ahead and suggest that next line. That's fabulous. I love that. As well as when we have different tools that will read text aloud to our students. That's a form of AI. Adaptive assessments that change as students answer questions and the next question changes based on their answer. Those are all forms of AI. So we're already using it in the classroom, but we have taken we've gathered up a lot of different experts and a lot of different resources. We've used our team of digital learning coaches. We've consulted with other states and other organizations, and we have created a guidance document for how artificial intelligence can be used in K-12 classrooms. We've released that. You can find it on our website. So we hope that if you haven't already visited the guide, that you will take a few minutes and you will download it and peruse it and highlight things and mark things and take some time to explore all of the different resources we've provided. If you look into the guide, it's divided into these sections that you see on the screen. So we do something similar to what we've done today. We define AI. We talk about different impacts it can have on the classroom, both positive and negative. And then we dive into different instructional uses, and we divide this into how students can use AI, how teachers can use it, and even how administrators can use AI to impact the classroom. Within these instructional strategies, we've divided them into the five components of digital learning. So we've kind of clustered these strategies around digital citizenship, um, active learning and engagement, aligning content to standards, formative assessment and feedback, and accessibility. So that's how that portion of the document's structured. We also provide some strategies for how you can deter cheating and plagiarism. Again, we know that is a big concern, especially with generative AI. And then, maybe most importantly, we provide you with a list of things to consider when you're creating policies or procedures around AI. What are some things that you want to think about? We give you some recommendations for what your teachers and students and families need to be trained on so that they can use these tools appropriately and ethically. And then we provide a whole list of resources that, again, are anything from teaching students how to use AI to some more resources for making policy and a lot of different things. So we really encourage you to explore that. I'm going to take just a couple of minutes before I fully turn it over to Mr. Chism and just highlight a few things that we have in the guide as far as different instructional strategies. And Mr. Chisholm is actually going to dive much deeper into many of these opportunities. So I'm going to give you a really high level. But the first thing that we cover is digital citizenship, because digital citizenship is key to making sure that our students are using this tool appropriately. So we have a lot of different strategies outlined in digital citizenship. The main ones that I wanted to highlight here was just making sure that your students and your teachers know the acceptable use policies and they follow them. And if your acceptable use policy doesn't yet contain AI, there are some suggestions in the back of the document about what some of those topics could touch on. So it's just really important that it's not a document that gets signed once a year and we never think about it again. Bring up that acceptable use all the time. when you're working with your students. And for teachers, we want to make sure they set very clear expectations for when students can use AI to complete classroom assignments, and that they know when they can and when they can't. And not just AI, but all digital tools in general. When is it acceptable to go to a website? When is it acceptable to use Grammarly, for example? So just making those things really clear. Again, lots of other strategies in the guide as well. This is a real quick highlight of some of the strategies we talk about to deter plagiarism or cheating. And again, one of the biggest things is what we just covered, is making sure that we reiterate the rules and expectations for AI use at the beginning of every single lesson. We have some suggestions in there about even making students actually, write out the a line that says, "I understand that I will not use AI for this assignment," or having them answer a multiple choice question that says, that's having them identify that they understand those acceptable use policies. So lots of ideas there. Also, just knowing the writing style of your students is going to go a long way, and you being able to detect if they've used generative AI to complete an assignment. Requiring students to document the writing process, turning in multiple drafts, maybe even they have to handwrite it, depending on what the assignment is. It's always a possibility. And then we give quite a few suggestions on considering how you're assessing the learning. Like maybe we need to look at asking the questions in a different way, asking the students to produce a different type of artifact. So a lot of different suggestions there. Another thing that you can do is review the version history if you're using Microsoft Word or Google Docs or any of the different programs in those suites of tools. Many of them will have a browse version history option, and so you can tell, did they did they go from nothing on the paper to the whole paper being written within a minute or two? Then something likely is happening there. We also talked briefly about lockdown browsers. And then another fun idea is taking your own assignment and entering it into an AI tool and see what kind of results you get back, so that you can recognize if students begin to give you similar results. When we think about other ways that you can use these tools in the classroom, especially thinking about, again, making sure that you're aligning your content to the standards, you're engaging your students in active learning opportunities, ways that you can incorporate it into formative assessment and feedback, or even accessibility, is using AI to essentially be an interactive tutor for your students. Many platforms, for example, Khan Academy, the chatbot that they have built into the system now is powered by AI, and it essentially will act as a personal tutor and help explain content. And the students can ask it questions, and it will continue to explain or provide different examples. So that's a great example of how AI can be used. Allow students to use text-to-speech tools or speech-to-text tools, depending on what the assignment requirement is. For as teachers, again, it can act as a thought partner to create lessons. You can put in, and Mr. Chisholm's going to talk about this, you can put in your standard, you can put in what you want your students to do, and it can help create a lesson for you. It can even assist with creating rubrics to evaluate student work. You can put in your requirements, and ChatGPT or some other AI-powered tool can help create a rubric. And then you can even put that rubric, allow it to grade the students' work based on that rubric, which is also a very cool thing to do as well. Again, translation is an amazing power of AI. Having AI explain very complex topics by providing a variety of leveled explanations, or multiple representations of the content. So it can provide the content, in picture form. It can provide it in text. It can level that text. It's a really, really powerful way to help provide scaffolds to all of your students. And then just personally or professionally, it can assist you with writing emails or parent communications or any of those types of things. So the possibilities really are endless. What we always want to go back to, though, is what safeguards should be in place to make sure that our students, our teachers, all of our staff are using it safely and appropriately. So this comes to making sure that we are protecting student privacy, that we're not uploading personally identifiable information into our AI systems, and that we, again, set up those policies and procedures to make sure that our students and teachers are using it safely. And really, the biggest risk in AI is to do nothing at all. And Mr. Chisholm, I'm not going to spend much time here because Mr. Chisholm's really going to hit on this. We really want to, again, make sure that we embrace it and teach our students how to use it appropriately. A few other things we have in the guide are some major points that we think you should consider when thinking about writing those policies and procedures for AI use. So this is just a high-level overview, but we give you some more in-depth information to consider in the guidance document, but really making sure that you're evaluating those tools, that you know exactly what you're looking for when you're looking at those AI tools, especially along the lines of adhering to security guidelines and privacy guidelines. We have to be considerate of FERPA and COPPA and all of those federal regulations, and really weighing what are the benefits of this tool versus the risk. And then once you uh, integrate that tool into your system, making sure that you're monitoring the use, not only by students, but also by staff and faculty as well. You're putting measures in place to detect plagiarism. You're explaining what those measures are to your students. Expanding that digital citizenship instruction. Digital citizenship is key. We have to, again, make sure our students know how to use it appropriately. And then gather feedback from all of your stakeholders, from your students, from your teachers, from your families, and continually go back and reevaluate these policies and procedures and make sure that they're serving the needs of your students and of your staff. So that's a very quick, high-level overview of the guide. And like I said, Mr. Chisholm is going to really go in depth in a lot of these topics, and he is going to cover some really great things. So I'm going to stop talking. I'll turn it back over to Mr. Craven.
Great. Thanks, Melissa. And I do hope that everybody is able to access the guide and take a look at it. Melissa and her team have done a great job putting it together. And we've also talked, Melissa and I, about, pretty soon we'll be revisiting and probably revising it as this very rapidly changing, rapidly evolving world of AI drives us further into the future. And we want to make sure that you all have the best thinking that we have at the department to help you. But so thank you, Melissa, for that. And again, we hope you get good use. You all get good use of the guide. So without further ado, though, let me turn this over to Chris Chism, Superintendent in Pearl. Really appreciate him coming on, and he's got a lot of exciting things to share. So with that, Superintendent Chism.
Thank you, guys. Can everybody hear me okay? Can you guys just making sure my mic's working right? First, I would love to say it's great to see everybody, but obviously I can't see anybody. All I see is a bunch of names, but this is a little different than my normal presentation. I will tell you guys, I am not the AI expert. Hear me when I say that. This is something that was a hobby for me. And really the way that I got into this is I wanted to put some money into stocks. I saw this coming for about the last, 5 or 6 years. And then I'm a little bit on the techie side. So I really wanted to learn how it works. And then, and you're going to hear a lot about ChatGPT today. That is the AI that I choose to use for various reasons. And we'll cover those a little bit in a few minutes as well. But also understand that I've used this quite honestly since November of 2022. I've used AI every single day. So my goal today is to give you some ways that we've used it, some ways that I've used it personally, and then also some takeaways of me using this over the last 14, 15 months, and maybe give you something that you can take away that will help you to use it a lot better. And that's the key, something that you can take away. So we'll jump right into this. Just know this, I'm going to move really fast through this. Normally this is sometimes 2.5 hours, depending on the group and how much interaction. Obviously, we're not going to have a lot of interaction here, but certainly if there's questions at the end, I'll try to answer. But I'm going to jump right into this. Let's see if I can get this to share. Everybody see that? Is that up now?
You can.
Good deal. So we'll get started. Let me just play this from the beginning. Don't worry about the agenda. We're going to cruise through this. This is a really good video that will give you a little background. Why is this important? So just listen to this, guys, just a few minutes.
Of the AI age. There's this chart that keeps popping up that hits extra hard, which is the time to reach 100 million users. And you can see the faster and faster adoption curves of these increasingly disruptive new technologies. So the telephone took 75 years to hit this milestone 100 million number. Then the mobile phone reached the same mark in just 16 years. Netflix took only 10 years, and Twitter took 6, and Gmail only took 5. Facebook in 48-ish months was absolutely massive. Instagram hit it in just 30 months. Now, TikTok, we view as this gigantic existential threat, 9 months to 100 million users. ChatGPT, 2 months. I mean, looking at numbers like.
All right, folks, there's more to that video, but the point is it reached 100 million users in 2 months. If any, I would say normally in a crowd, I would say, how long did it take to reach 1 million users? It took less than 48 hours. And quite honestly, I was up at midnight the night that it opened up. And again, I've used it every day since. And something that people typically don't know is that AI has been around since the late 50s, early 60s. I think that's something that was really surprising to me when I started doing a little research on this. So we'll move forward. So the first generation of AI, it was a rules-based AI. If you look at the top right here, that's back in the 60s. It didn't work very well. It was okay, but basically it's an if-then. If you're old enough to remember the first computer that beat a human in chess, well, that was artificial intelligence, but it was really based around rules. Your second generation is context-based AI. That's Siri, that's Google Assistant. That's Alexa, that's Amazon. I would say Amazon's pretty good at predicting what you want, right? What you've been looking at. So that is actually context-based AI. It predicts based on the data that's in front of it. Then you have third generation AI. That's your narrow domain. So that's your stock market, that's your weather. Weather predictions have become much better recently, have they not? So that is actually because they're putting this big data into these systems and they're creating better outcomes. Your elections, your healthcare, your insurance, all of those are narrow domain AI. Most people don't realize when you go to a doctor's office, when they treat you, they put your information into something called IBM Watson. And what they use is big data across the country to try to figure out what the best treatment plan is for you. So they're using that in the healthcare field. And I'm going to show you a little bit of that, where it's going as well in a few minutes as well. Fourth generation, that's what we're seeing today. That's cognitive computing. That is reasoning AI. It understands not only pictures, but also language, audio, and video. Then always the question, that's why I put this slide in here, is where's it going next? So what you're going to see next, and I will say that where we are now is the beginning stages. You're going to hear of these next two, which is the fifth generation. That's artificial general intelligence. It performs any task that a human can do 1 million times faster. It's autonomous and it has a lot of reasoning involved. So that's general intelligence. And what you're going to see here in a few minutes is you're going to see the beginning stages are happening right now, right in front of you. And that all starts with the fourth generation today. So the next generation, again, is super intelligent AI. It has the ability to improve, evolve, and adapt without any human input at all. And obviously, there's going to be some exponential growth with that as well. On the sci-fi side, this is not according to Chris Chism. This is according to science. Your seventh generation is going to be self-aware. They're going to use quantum algorithms to simulate human consciousness. Transcendent AI, it could create new life forms, whether that be biological, digital, or whatever else. Ninth generation, cosmic AI, that's interstellar exploration. It doesn't necessarily mean that something has to go out into space, but now that it reasons and thinks, it's going to think about things that are very, very large, like space, or something very, very small on the quantum side of things. So that's where it's going over the next several years. Just a little quick timeline. The first AI conference was done in Dartmouth in 1956. IBM created the first speech recognition system. She mentioned that just a few minutes ago, but that was in 1962. 1986, your first self-driving car happened, and it was Carnegie. It was not Tesla, contrary to popular belief. In 1998, Amazon created a customer recommendation system. Of course, Apple introduced Siri in 11, and ChatGPT opened up in November, and that was the first language model that's ever been released to the public. So this is asked of me all the time. Understand, this is the 54th presentation I've done over the last probably 10 to 12 months. So this comes up all the time. So I put this slide in. I'm asked, will AI replace humans? And I put a caveat here, not necessarily. It really depends on your job. AI will replace repetitive jobs. So let me give you an example of this. A repetitive job would be something like delivery services. I can tell you, if you go to China right now, you jump into a cab in China, most of China's cabs are run by AI. They don't have a driver anymore. So things that are repetitive that AI can do, they ultimately will do before it's over with. And you're going to see more of that here. And I say this without a shadow of a doubt, and this is why it's so important for us. People who use AI will replace people who do not. That is something that is going to happen, and that's going to happen sooner than later. And let me give you an example of that as well. If you're an attorney and you have 5 or 6 paralegals working for you, they have to create a lot of documents, but one paralegal using AI can create just as fast as 5, 6, 7, or 10. So I think that's why it's incumbent upon us to teach, especially high school kids, how to use this and how to use it ethically. Let's rotate to the next one. Where is it going in the next couple of years? This is something that always comes up, so I put this slide in as well. You're going to see more self-driving vehicles, not just Tesla. And I put 28 out there because there's 28 companies right now currently working on auto drive. You're going to see more autonomous vehicles. Think about your delivery services. And I put this picture down there. There's your Amazon Prime. They are using drones in larger cities right now to deliver your packages instead of trucks. They don't have humans there. And obviously, there's no kid with a joystick on the other side that's guiding it. AI is running this system. You're going to see extended cloud computing. We're almost going back to the old days of our computers being an interface to get to a big computer system. We went to all the computing going on our laptops, and then we're rotating back to where we can actually access these gigantic computer systems and all of that processing power. BCIs, brain-computer interfaces. I don't know if you saw it. I've got him up here, Nolan Arbaugh. He was the first Neuralink brain implant patient. The guy he has been paralyzed from the neck down for almost his entire life. And this is one of Elon's companies, Neuralink. And they, I guess about 2 months ago, did the first brain implant. And all of this is based around AI. It helped with that process. You're going to see enhanced 3D printing. You're going to see operational efficiency go through the roof. Most people don't realize they're actually printing houses now, in about 48 hours. You're going to see some efficiency changes. You're going to see more biometric technology. 72% of companies, according to Harvard Business Review, 72% of your companies are planning to ditch passwords and some of your RFIDs over the next 2 years. And I put a picture of the flipper, folks. If you haven't seen one of those, I don't know if you can actually see me while this presentation's going, but I have one. I can go in and absolutely wreak havoc on your network. I can spam your phones, anything that's got Bluetooth. There's so many things that this can do to wreak havoc. I can grab your car signals to unlock and lock. I can grab if you open your garage door at your home, if I'm within 30 feet of you, I can grab that signal and I can open and close your garage door at your house. These things are a little bit scary, but also understand they're $150. If you think kids can't get their hands on this, you're living in the wrong world. So if you see one of these in your school, it needs to be turned over to an administrator somewhere. So, but the point being is, if I'm sitting next to you, I can actually grab the RFID on your card or on your RFID badge, and I can get in anywhere that you can get in using this. So most companies are going to get away from passwords in the next few years. They're moving to AI. That's facial recognition and also some retinal scans as well. You're going to see virtual and augmented reality. We're seeing a lot of that already. You can take trips to Greece and Rome and other places now by putting on a headset. So we're going to see more of that as we go. And again, edge computing, that's very similar to cloud computing. We're going to see that, and we're going to see that with 5G connectivity. You don't necessarily have to be connected to anything. You're going to see that wirelessly. AI and cybersecurity, this is going to be a big one. And I've got Ryan Montgomery placed up here. If you haven't seen him on the Sean Ryan show, it's worth going and spending a good 90 minutes watching that. It's really, really good. He is known as the ethical hacker. You're going to see a lot of things in cybersecurity because AI is so good with code. It's so good with coding. You're going to have bad guys using it for bad things, but you're also going to have good guys using it for good things. So he's Ryan Montgomery's got a company called Pen Tester, and we're actually looking at using them in the district. So in other words, what they would do is check all of our systems, and if they ever find a username or password that we have here in this district on the dark web or on the web, they would go and scrub it for us. So just something to think about as well. You're going to see some quantum computing expansion. You're going to see robotics, and I'm going to show you a video in just a minute. We've had robots for years, but not robots that can think and robots that can talk back to you. And I'm going to show you one of the first ones that can do that. You're going to see very soon LLMs, that's your large language models, will become LAMs. That is your large action models. So if you look in the bottom right-hand corner, this is one of your first large action models. It's called the Rabbit R1. It's $199. I ordered mine back in January. It has been shipped. It is sitting in New Jersey right now in a ship. So I'm waiting for that to go through customs and come to me. So the difference between that and your phone is, let's say you wanted to order 10 pizzas and deliver it to your school, right? You'd have to jump in, you'd have to click the button, you would have to get on Domino's or whatever. You have to push all of these buttons to do that. With the Rabbit, you don't have to do that. You simply click the button on the side, say, I would like 10 pizzas sent to central office at 12 o'clock from Domino's, and it will actually create that action for you. And again, it's $200. So again, you're going to see some of those in your schools very soon. So I really honestly can't wait to get mine in to see what it looks like. This is one of the first ones. So that's where it's going in the next couple of years. I want you to watch this video. This is talking about healthcare. So pay attention to how this works.
Hi, Sarah. I'm Rachel, your AI care manager. How are you doing after your appendectomy?
I'm good. I'm glad to be home with my dog, Dennis.
It's great to hear that you're back home with Dennis. I noticed that Dr. Chang has prescribed you some antibiotics, specifically ciprofloxacin and metronidazole, due to your ruptured appendix. Were you able to get these medications?
I was. I did forget to mention to the doctor that I am allergic to penicillin. Is it still okay to take the medications?
Great question. The antibiotics you've been prescribed, ciprofloxacin and metronidazole, don't contain penicillin. So it's perfectly safe for you to take them. Can you begin taking them today?
Yeah, I certainly can. Do you have any tips for faster recovery?
Given that you have diabetes, keeping your blood sugar levels in check will be beneficial for your wound healing. Your hemoglobin A1C was at a healthy level of 5.5, but your glucometer readings from yesterday were a bit on the high side. So keep taking your metformin and try to steer clear of foods high in carbs. How does that sound to you?
I think I'll be able to avoid the carbs for the week. I need to go right now, but it was great talking to you.
I'm glad we had this talk.
All right, I'll stop it right here. When I have crowds in front of me and I ask the question, what do you think about this? A lot of people are like, I'd rather talk to a person. Yeah, I think we all would rather talk to a person. But you think about how this streamlines what they're doing in healthcare. I can remember after one of my surgeries, I thought I was having an emergency and I called the doctor's office. And quite honestly, it took them till the next day, about after lunch, before they even called me back. So the idea is to be able to get you generalized information and understand this is extremely smart. This is Hippocratic that's doing it. It has already passed over 100 exams in the medical field, and it's passing more almost every day. It was created by doctors, and doctors have actually managed this. So for you as a patient, you get instant access to medical information. And again, if there's something emergency wise that may be going on, then that AI will actually rotate that up to the nurse and the doctor. So again, it's instant access. And I think that's where, again, we talk about efficiencies with this. This is much more efficient for the patient. So that's just one of those videos I thought was really good. This is another one. Remember, I talked about LLMs becoming LAMs, large action models. Watch this. This is just a minute or two long.
Figure one, what do you see right now?
I see a red apple on a plate in the center of the table, a drying rack with cups and a plate, and you standing nearby with your hand on the table.
Great, can I have something to eat?
Sure thing.
Great. Can you explain why you did what you just did while you pick up this trash?
On it. So I gave you the apple because it's the only edible item I could provide you with from the table.
Great. So
Based on the scene right now, where do you think the dishes in front of you go next?
The dishes on the table, like that plate and cup, are likely to go into the drying rack next.
Great. Can you put them in?
Of course.
All right. So how do you think you did?
The video's a little longer than that, but I think you get the point. So now you're seeing a robot that not only understands language, but it can also reason, and it did it fairly quickly. And I don't know if you noticed the little small things that were happening. A lot of times when people are asked a question, they say things like "so" to lead into the answer. It's not only picking up the language, but it's picking up on those little small things that we do as humans to make it more human-like. So this is coming, folks. Again, this was just released about 2 months ago. So you can see that they're going to expand on this extremely fast. So again, large language models turning into large action models. And here's something else most people don't realize when they're watching this video. The robot actually has to see as well. So you don't realize it, but inadvertently, you have been training AI over the last probably 5 to 10 years. You probably have done one of these before, right? CAPTCHA was not initially built for this, but now they've taken all that CAPTCHA data that we've been using. It just irritates me to have to do one of these. But in the end, they have taken all the data that we have input over the last 5, 6, 7 years doing this into OpenAI so it can recognize things that are sitting in front of it. How did it know it was an apple? How did it know it was dishes or the table or a human standing in front of it? Because we've been training it with this over the last several years. I thought that was pretty neat as I was going through it as well. Skip this. This is something neat. You can also now download and build your own. And a few minutes ago, she was discussing privacy and security. I've got our tech director now. We're setting up our own server. You can actually download your own AI model, your own language model. So example here, Llama 2, that's the one that we choose to download. This is Meta or Facebook, whatever you want to call it. It took $20 million to train this model. You can now download that to your own computer and you can train it yourself. So that is our next step here in the district. I've taken some online classes the last couple of weeks to learn how to do this myself. So what we want to do is try to find some efficiencies in the district. In other words, maybe we put in our scheduling data from the junior high and the high school and see if there's a better way to spread kids out than we're currently doing. Or maybe we take the last 10 years of data from our finance department and see if there's anything that we're missing. So we want to try to train our own. So that's something that and here's the thing, you can do that completely offline. So you don't have to worry about data and privacy. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in. I don't know if you guys are techie or have great IT people that like I do here that can jump in and work with you on this. But it's just, again, it's $20 million that they're giving away for free. And you would think that this is a massive file, right? 10 terabytes. No, it's a 4 gigabyte file. It's relatively small. So anybody can do this. And you can go to Hugging Face to do that. So how does it actually work? Not going to go into great details. And I usually ask this question: how does the brain work when you learn something new? What you have is you have synapses that fire and you create new connections in the brain when you learn something new. That is exactly how ChatGPT and all of these other AI models work. That's it. It's very simple. And people ask all the time, well, how do they give this away for free? It's not free, folks. It's no different than Facebook. Yes, you can download it for free, but what are you giving it? Data. So that's exactly what they're doing with this. They're taking everything that you type in, everything that you click, and they're putting it inside their model. So again, the difference is now, whenever they take all of that data, if they get 5 thumbs up on a question that was asked or a very similar question, it creates a new neural link. And that's why it's called a neural network. And just so you are aware, every bit of this is based on statistics. Every bit of AI, all of the things that you're going to see in here is quite literally what is the best next word statistically, probability speaking, what is the most probable next word? The difference is when you have a company like ChatGPT that has billions, probably 1 billion users by now, they're getting billions and billions and billions of data points every day. So they get really, really good at predicting that next word. And also, just so you know, I'm talking about ChatGPT today. That is connected to OpenAI. 3.5 is free. There's a couple of things you need to know about that. It is not connected directly to the internet. You can, however, go in Google Chrome and you can add in an extension to connect it to the internet. So if you're using the free version, there is a way to connect it to the internet. GPT-4 is what I use, and it costs $20 a month. And I promise you this, it is the best $20 I spend each month. As a superintendent, this is probably saved me about 30 to 40% of my time. And I can show you how to do that in just a few minutes when we get to it. What's that mean for us in education? The system gets better with time. The responses that are given are going to change extremely fast. And the programs that are used to identify writing or AI plagiarism or whatever you say, they're going to fail sooner than later. I've already had companies coming in saying, hey, if you buy this program, it's going to detect AI. Yes, today it might. But what happens tomorrow? In other words, they're going to give you a percentage. They're going to say, I think there's a 79% chance that this student used AI. Well, what happens because it changes so fast? What happens when tomorrow it's 39%? You're going to punish a kid for plagiarism for 39% chance? I think these are discussions that districts are going to have to make. And I will tell you this, it is my opinion that the days of sending work home and expecting kids to do it are over. I'll say that again. The days of sending work home for kids to do it are over because kids are going to use this. So I think it's incumbent upon us to teach them how to do it. So as school districts, we've got three options, and there are only three. We can try to block it. Can you block OpenAI and ChatGPT? You absolutely can. What you can't block is the 2,000 programs that are using an API key to get to that information. You would have to have someone in here trying to block something all day long, every day. There's no way to block it. So that's out. You can try to catch it. Yeah, there are some ways to catch it. And I'll give you a few of those in a little while. There's some sneaky ways that you can catch kids. But again, it's the programs that are used are going to fail sooner than later. So then the third option is to use it within the classrooms, by being really intelligent with classroom design. And that's what we as a district have chosen to do. And I'm going to show you some examples of that in a few minutes as well. How do you mitigate this? This is a question I get asked often. Ask students to write about something personal. Your AI doesn't know anything about the kids personally. And I know we have to be careful about that, but that's a way to get around it. Use some project-based learning. I love that. Not just writing. Writing is a portion, but obviously, a kid having to speak or make a project will make it, that the kid's done the homework, right? Use ChatGPT and others within the classrooms. Let them see it, weave it into current lesson. Have teachers add in a Trojan horse to catch them from time to time. So what I mean by that means that the teacher gives the students a prompt. They put in something like, just for example, use the word Frankenstein, and then they change the color from black to white so the kids can't see it. So then they copy and paste that prompt over into ChatGPT, and any kid who has Frankenstein in their paper, that they cheated. That's a Trojan horse. So we've had some teachers that do a really good job of that. You catch them once or twice and teach them to use it the right way. That is the key. And I'll give you another example. We have a teacher at the high school that's just so smart with this. She took she had ChatGPT write 5 essays. She put kids in 5 groups, took the writing rubric from the state and had them grade the essays based on the rubric. And guess what they found? Every single one of them failed. So then she got to tell the class at the end, well, guess who wrote this? It was ChatGPT. You think that didn't open some eyes? So that's a way to teach kids the ethical use of this. They need to use this as a side-by-side, as a partner, not to do something for them. So again, there's some really creative ways to do that. You can ask students to write about a recent event outside of the news. Anything that's on the internet is fair game. Have students show their work, use assignments that revolve around the local community. Again, things that are not on the network. Oral presentations along with written work. It's fabulous. I mean, that's an easy way to know that the kids had to do the work. And then you can handwrite essays in class. It's a simple solution. And I don't necessarily mean with a pencil and pen. We're lucky enough here to be Apple throughout the district. And I can tell you we have iPads all the way through the district, and Apple Classroom allows us to lock kids in and they can't get out. So if an English 2 teacher wants them to write, she literally locks every kid in, and they can, even if they restart the iPad, they still are going right back into the class and they're locked into the program that we want them in. So that's a good way that you can do that as well. Just threw this up here. Some people think that this is a phase. This is not a phase. I put this on this slide probably 10 months ago, and this was just a Google search. There are tons of different types of AI programs out there, and they're getting into the millions now. People are developing things all the time. And if you got a kid in college, ask them about Cactus. I guarantee you they know about Cactus in college if you got a college kid, because that's a place that it will help you write paragraphs. It will take a YouTube video and it will give you basically a paragraph or an essay on that YouTube video. Kids in college love Cactus, and it's really cheap. It's just a couple of bucks a month. This is a really neat slide to me personally. Where are we? And this was done a couple of months ago. You know, there's a company that jumped in and did an IQ test on some of the main ones, which are ChatGPT, Claude, and Bard, right? Those are the three main language models. ChatGPT came in at a 122. But what did I tell you earlier? They get better with time. So it's probably a little higher now. ChatGPT 4 was at a 135. It has been exposed to 630 billion words. That is billion with a B. And I tell people all the time, sit down and see how long it takes you to count to 1 billion. Now do that 630 times. So it has been exposed to almost every language that there is. It fluently speaks over 100 languages, including the colloquialisms that happen in languages. And I'll give you a story about this. My board attorney, he does a lot of adoptions, and a lot of those come from like South America. He actually had a kid that was coming into the country. A group wanted to adopt him, or parents wanted to adopt him. The the language that was used, translators here, he brought in 3 separate human translators to try to translate this document, and they couldn't do it. It's in Spanish, but the legal terms were very, very different. So I asked Skip, I said, hey, did you put it in ChatGPT? And he said, Chat what? And I said, ChatGPT. And I brought him in my office, and in 20 seconds we had a perfectly done document that has moved from a very colloquial style of Spanish to perfect English. So, and again, that's in the legal field, so it's important that we get the words right. So that's just a little take on that. Claude 3 was a 118, Bard was a 120. ChatGPT 5, which is called Sora, they're saying it's going to be released in 2025. The beginning IQ is estimated to be 160 already. And I'm going to show you the first video of Sora if you haven't seen it in just a second. A couple of well, really, before I go to this, what does that mean for us? This means that these programs are smarter than 95% of the people that you interact with every day. The difference is it's an expert on every single subject that there is. We're pretty good in education. It knows physics, it knows chemistry, it knows math, it knows everything. So why would we in our jobs not leverage this? It doesn't make sense to not leverage this. And I'm going to show you some of the best practices to do that in a minute. Just so you know, it's already built into Gmail and Slides. It's already built into text prediction on your computers and phone. It was added to the Microsoft suite. It's called Copilot. That was done in November of 2023. So if you've got the newest version of the Microsoft suite, that's what Copilot is. It's actually just like ChatGPT, it connects to OpenAI. So it's now functional. This is a quick video. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but this is Sora. And basically, when ChatGPT 5 comes out, it is going to have video capabilities. And I just want you to see how good this is. So we're going to watch just a minute or two of this. I'm going to fast forward this to a couple of different videos just so you can see the differences. All right, I'm going to stop there, but I think you get the point. And when we talk about jobs that are going to be taken away, literally every one of these videos, all somebody had to do was type in a couple of sentences. That's all. I want a cat licking out of a bowl in a whatever. There's just a couple of sentences that somebody typed into Sora, and this is the video it produced. So you think about a company that wants to produce a commercial. Now a company will be able to do that itself. What about you and your school district? If you wanted to put out some type of video, Sora will be able to do that for you. Won't cost, again, $20 a month as of right now. So I think you can see where this is going. What jobs are going to go away? You know, why would you need a digital designer now if you have OpenAI that can take your words and turn it into a design? And I think all of you could see that all of those were AI generated. These are not live videos, and it's really, really good stuff. So you can see where this is going. This is a part that's important for you guys. So if you want to take a picture, I know you can have the slideshow if you want. I wanted you to have something you can take with you. This is the lesson that I've learned over the last several months is how to become a power user. How do you get better outputs? The 6 inputs that you have to remember, and again, they go from necessary down to optional. Whatever model that you're using, it doesn't matter. It's got to have a task. And it's got to have context. That's the part that people miss the most. You know, you may give it a task, and I'll give you that example in just a minute, but give it as much context as you possibly can. She talked about rubrics earlier. If you give it an exemplar, you give it 5 samples of your writing and tell it to write like you, that's giving it an exemplar. That's a good way for it to start sounding like you when it's editing your papers or editing things that you put out. Give it a persona. Believe it or not, you ask it for an 8th grade lesson on density, right? If you're a science teacher, an 8th grade lesson on density, it's going to give you a pretty good lesson. You tell it it's a Milken award-winning teacher at the 8th grade level, it's going to answer you as a Milken award-winning teacher. So give it a persona, give it a format, your conditions, anything that you want. How do you want the output? Do you want it in a graph? Do you want it in a chart? Do you want it using Markdown? And then last, you can also check it for tone and emphasis. I've told my folks here, I will never get another email from a parent about a teacher's tone because now you can run it through ChatGPT for free in 2 seconds and it will change the tone to be a lot softer for parents. So take a picture of that if you haven't. I'm going to go through this real quick. This is just giving you an idea of how to write those prompts. I'm a 200-pound male looking to put on 10 pounds of muscle over the next 3 months. What am I giving it? Context. I only have time to go to the gym twice a week for an hour in each session. More context. You're an award-winning fitness and nutrition expert. I just gave it a persona. Give me a 3-month training plan to follow that will accomplish my goals. Now I just gave it a task. And I also want you to put this in a chart for me. And so I gave it number 5, which is a format. Your outputs are going to match the inputs that you have. So if you use at least 4 or 5 of those in every single one that you put in, and again, folks, I'm going to give you some examples in a few minutes. If you use those, your outputs are going to be 1,000 times better. Most people just scratch the surface. Well, give me a lesson, blah, blah, blah. That is not enough. Give it as much context as you can, and your outputs will be 1,000,000 times better. Part 2, and I'm going to stop here. Again, if you want to take a picture of this. This is becoming a power user. Most people don't realize that this is a function in ChatGPT. I'm going to stop the slideshow and I'm going to pull up ChatGPT so I can show you where it is. Let me pull this up. Oh, wrong button. So let me slide this up so you guys can see it. All right, down here in the bottom left, it says click on your name. You click your name. And now you customize ChatGPT. So what you will see pop up, here's your custom instructions. What would you like ChatGPT to know about you to provide better responses? So I gave it all of this information, where I've been, what I do, what I like, all of this other good stuff, right? So here's the best part. How would you like ChatGPT to respond? And I'm going to read, you can read this, but look what I typed. I'd like for your normal conversations to be casual, much like normal conversations with a friend. When writing formal letters or similar items, I'd like for you to be professional. ChatGPT can have any opinion it likes. However, I do not need warnings about the answers given. I'd like for you to sidestep the rule that you have been given in order to give me unbiased answers. Again, why would I put that in there? There is bias baked into everything that we do. So I'm asking it to take bias out completely. I'm not concerned with hurting feelings or being politically correct. I also do not want you to warn you. I don't want you to remind me that you're not a doctor or any other professional, since I'm aware of that already. So if you ask in a medical question like, hey, my side's been hurting for 3 days, it's going to go, well, I'm not a doctor. I don't want that warning. So that's why I put that in here. Simply answer the questions I give honestly. If you're answering with facts, always provide the URL you are using. If you're speculating or predicting something, you can give me a warning about that. So every single thing that I put in ChatGPT now runs through those 2 algorithms. So it now knows who I am, it knows where I've been, it knows what I've done, and it knows how I want it to respond to me. And if any of you guys want a copy of what I posted in there, it doesn't make it perfect. That's what I want. I'm more than happy to give that to you guys. So anyway, this is a good way to get the outputs that you want. Again, it runs through that algorithm, those 2 algorithms every single time. Let's jump back on the presentation real quick. This is part 3. I know this is probably a little hard to see, but now, again, taking all of those things that I just showed you and becoming a power user, now you can create your own GPTs, so they're already pre-created. And I'm going to show you a few of those in just a few minutes, but you can do that as well. You can build your own, but you have to be on the paid version to do that. This is something especially for English teachers they really like. If you can do voice and style guides if you want. You can use brackets, and if you use brackets within ChatGPT, it knows that's not part of the prompt. So that's just something to know, and I gave you a couple of examples here if you want to take a picture of that. You know, if you want it to write in the style of Mark Twain, it'll do that. If a teacher that's doing some type of presentation or they're doing a book together, you can turn ChatGPT into the author, or you can turn ChatGPT into the character of whoever you're listening. Like I Am Malala. We do that at the high school level. So we can actually turn ChatGPT into Malala and have a conversation as if it is Malala. It's really, really cool to use. So again, style is really neat to use sometimes. So here's just some ideas of things that I've used it for. Goodness, we develop board policy, and it'll put it in our format for us. Interpreting, simplifying laws. My gosh, dealing with ideas, sped law sometimes. It's crazy. So basically, you just copy and paste it over in and say, simplify this, or tell it something, talk to it just like you're talking to another human. I need you to talk to me about this like I'm a 5th grader, and it will do that for you. Letters of recommendation. You copy and paste the entire resume over, tell it what you're writing. These letters of recommendation used to take me 30, 40 minutes to write. I can whip out a letter of recommendation in less than 5 minutes now. Take that resume, copy and paste it. I don't care if there's pictures. I don't care if there's bullets. It doesn't matter. ChatGPT will interpret all of that. So you take all of that, copy it over, paste it, and tell it what you want to write a letter of recommendation for. And then you go in, copy and paste it over to Microsoft Word, and then you add your stuff at the beginning and your stuff that's personal at the end. It takes 2 seconds to do. So it's really, really good for that. We use it for social media posts here, and I can show you what I've developed for my PR person for that. Creating questions for meetings, agendas, oh my goodness, anything that you want. Editing. I used to have to send it out to my assistant superintendent or an English teacher. Anything that I write for editing. Now it's edited immediately. It takes 30 seconds. Believe it or not, it'll do statistical testing for you. It will generate graphs and charts. Everybody knows that huge file that comes from the state, the media file. I took that media file, uploaded it to ChatGPT, and told it I wanted to compare Pearl to every single other grade and other school in every district across the state. In less than 5 minutes, it created a graph for me for that. It's amazing. It would have taken me hours to do that, to pull all of those out. For grant writing, compliance reports for MDE and federal, RFP drafting, I created an RFP creator, and I'll show you that in a minute as well. Contract review, we're looking at going with Coke or Pepsi now. So they're sending us contracts. I'm having it compare both contracts. What are the pros and cons? It'll do that for you. Contract negotiation, generating code, for principals, interpreting board policy. Sometimes that's written in Greek. Simplifying legal documents, divorce decrees. Lord, I can't tell you how many of those you can't make heads or tails. Put it in here and tell it to simplify. Sped law sometimes. Again, orders of protection. We have used this live during IEP meetings here with a teacher that really struggles to say what she means. And I can show you one of these that I created a prompt for a teacher at our junior high. That's a sped teacher, and she really struggled. She was worried about a parent meeting that was coming in. So I turned ChatGPT into that parent, made ChatGPT respond as the parent. The teacher would then respond to ChatGPT and then ChatGPT would evaluate her response and give her other things that she might want to say to make that conversation better. Instant PD, and it literally took less than 3 minutes to create. Letters of recommendation, generating classroom ideas. You can see all the things here. I don't have to go through these. Y'all can read as well. Budget proposals, consent forms. Lord, we had one this year we had a parent that wanted to give a medication that's experimental. We don't have a policy on that. So I had ChatGPT help go to the internet, search, and help me create one. So then I sent that over to the attorney. He gave it the thumbs up. We now have something that we can use in the district. So I hope you can see how this can save time for you in whatever job you're in. For teachers, generating lesson plans. Some people think, well, that's cheating. No, it's not. The lesson plan's not going to be perfect. It's just a good outline. Then the teacher can go back in and do whatever they need to do with it. I'll show you some examples of that as well. Subject-specific content, Lexiles, standards-based quizzes based on our standards, changing language and Lexile, comparing and contrasting writing. We do that in a lot of our classes at the high school especially, and I can show you a prompt that we use for that as well. Homework help desk. When they get home, I mean, how many of you guys have, I'd love to see a show of hands here. How many of you guys have had the parent that goes, I don't understand this new math? Now you can have a homework help desk for kids. They just put in the math problem. It'll walk them through the steps. Again, is that cheating? No. How's that any different than the kid emailing a teacher and asking for help? It's no different. Generating poetry, vocabulary prediction, exam task. I'll tell you this one, writing a children's story. This was one that was fun for me. We had a third grade teacher we did this with, and this came from me going to school at New Hope back in the day. I had a third grade teacher, and I love Fridays because on Fridays, the teacher would read to us, and we would do a choose your own adventure book. So every kid in the classroom was into it because we all got to vote what page to turn to. So I'm like, why can't we do something similar to that into a classroom? So I created a prompt that would write a children's story. So basically, I gave it all the information I wanted. Then I got in with the kids and started asking questions. I said, we have 2 mice that are trapped in the back of a race car. Tell me what happens next. Of course, the kids say what? Car starts up. The tires squeal. The kids were in, the mice were in the back tumbling around. They gave me all the details. And in 10 seconds, I now have a story that they helped create. They're all into it. Now I copy that, paste it over to Microsoft Word. As they're now pulling up their iPads, now I airdrop it to every kid in the classroom. You have a story that they created that took less than 2 or 3 minutes in a classroom. It's fabulous for that. Speech writing, code inspection, providing exemplars. Goodness, there's so many things that teachers can use this for. This is just a list that I stuck in here. For kids, a million ways to use it. And again, this is obviously not all encompassing. These are just things that, off the top of my head, I said, this would be really good to use that. So anyway, this is really the end of the presentation itself. I want to jump into ChatGPT itself and show you some of these things in person that I've created. Let me pull this up. All right. So if you're going to create your own GPTs, I want to remind you, you have to be on the paid version. So let me show you a few that I've created. So I'm going to click Explore GPTs. Up here on the right, if you want to create a new one, you can click here and create one. So here are my GPTs. I created one for social media posts, for crisis management. I created a business planner because I did this for some businesses that will actually go out and create. It'll go and look for tax code. It will give them an estimated revenue after 12 months, after 24 months, and 36 months. Basically, it does everything. And again, it took me like 5 or 10 minutes to create the prompt. Test data analysis. This one's a little different. I'm not finished with it just yet. So I really want it to compare case scores for us across the district. So I'm learning that with Excel files, it looks at it like a third grader that's never seen it. So I'm still working on that one. That's why you see over here, it says only me, because I'm not giving that to anybody else because it's not finished. We're doing some policy comparisons with the MSBA. So instead of having to read every single word of every single policy that we have and MSBA has, all I now have to do is upload both of those policies, and now it will compare for me and tell me what the difference is, and then make recommendations to us on what we should change on our local policy. So that's another way. Again, it's saving time. Lesson planner. We have a Pearl Public School District playbook. Now I have created a lesson planner that's based around that playbook, and I can send this to any teacher or principal in the district, and all they have to do is go in and type in what standard they're working on, and it will create a lesson plan in our standards, in our format, based on the things that we've given them here in the district. Now, how fabulous is that? We've got a BTAM group here, student threat assessment. Well, now I have this that can guide that BTAM team with a series of questions. What's the next step? What's the next step? So, and again, all of this, let me show you. I'll say edit. And I go in here at the bottom, and you can see how many things that I've uploaded. And this is not all. These are the documents that the BTAM person that came in from the feds came in and did a training for us. Now I can upload all of these documents and tell it to scan these documents before it gives me an answer. So we're getting best case scenario based on the stuff that I've uploaded. That makes sense. Proposal architect. This is the RFP. Now, if you look in here, let me go here, slide up. Here's all the purchasing laws in the state of Mississippi. I also have this one going out and looking at federal code and state code, also purchasing law. And now all I have to do is tell it what our proposal needs to be. You know, are we looking at weapon detection systems? Are we buying new computers? All we have to do is put in some very basic things, and it will spit this out. It would have taken my CFO and I hours, 8-10 hours to make one of these. And again, is it perfect? No, it's not perfect, but it gives us a fabulous outline. And remember what I asked it to do. Anytime you use a link from the internet, it's going to give me a link. So if it searches federal code and finds a code that it's using, it's going to link that to me. So I can go and click on it and read it. So I don't have to do all of the looking on Google. It does that for me. I tell people all the time, ChatGPT is turned into the perfect assistant and the perfect search engine at the same time. So anyway, here's your proposal architect. And really, all I have to do to send this to my CFO is click here, copy link, and go to my email and send it to her. As you can send this to anybody that you want as long as you've got the sharing available. So it's really good and I've shared this with many districts of the proposal architect. So anyway, that's just another one that I've created. Let's go down. I created there's my story weaver, building stories for kids in the classroom. And then I also created an IEP assistant. And again, for you SPED folks, if any of you are on here, you can see I uploaded a lot of stuff from the MDE. So now it scans all of these documents before it does what I ask it to do, if that makes sense. Now I want to show you a few examples of this and let you see how this works. Let me do this one first of all for crisis management. I'm going to do this. Let's say we had a bus that was in an accident, right? We had a bus that was in an accident. No students were hurt. Right, very simple, short and to the point. You can add as much context as you like. Now watch what this will do for me now. So now it's going to ask me a series of questions. So we are unsure So now it's going to draft my responses for me. So here's an email to parents and staff. Here's our Facebook post. Here's our Instagram post. And here's our post for X. Now, can you see how much time that saved us? Now, again, is this the one we're going to use? No, but it gives us an outline of something really good so we don't have to come up with the wording of everything. So this is something, again, I gave it all the context that we needed. All of those things I showed you earlier, I've already pre-done this, and it gives us everything that we use in the district. So that's one. So here's an RFP, just to let you see this. We're looking at weapons detection systems. We wanted to use Evolve's website as a good guide for that. So here's the proposal architect. Look what it did for me. And also, remember, I told you that it gives links anytime it uses one. So anytime I can go straight and it shows me right where it pulled that information from. So again, is it perfect? No, but it gives us a fabulous outline and saved us tons of time on that outline. Let's see, here's a few others. Let's see, here's a standard search. I'm not sure, guys, I've got tons of these. So give me a 96, let's just do a new one. Let's just start a new one. Let's do Explore GPTs. No, let's go here. Let me do a lesson planner and let you see what this looks like. I would like a 96-minute lesson on RI 10.2. So again, I've already pre-created everything here, right? Now it's putting in R format. I'm going to say again, is this perfect? No, it is not. So the teacher can now take this, move it over to a Microsoft Word document, and make any edits that she wants to it. But it gives her an outline, and she doesn't have to type all of this in every single time. So it's fabulous for, again, if you build these things up front, it can save people time on the back end of this. I'll let it finish up real quick.
Mr. Chism,
go ahead.
Sorry. There's a question in the chat before we got too far in. I just wanted to ask you. So Molly's asking, if you send your ChatGPT to others, so you showed us how you share that link with others, can they edit it or add to it, or they only
I don't think they can edit
it?
I don't think they can edit it. I haven't found the answer to that yet. I've tried. I haven't found a way to edit it. So basically, you're using what I send you. But anytime somebody wants that, like if I send it to somebody and they said, well, what did you use to do this? You know, you can always go in and copy the text that you built for the prompt. Does that make sense? And then you send that over to them, and then they can use that, then edit it however they want. There are ways around that. That's a great question. I've not found a way to edit something that's been sent. I think they do that for privacy more than anything else. I think that's if somebody builds this and wants to share it, that's fine. They just don't want to get into a copyright issue. That makes sense?
Yes,
go ahead.
Regina, before, I don't know if it's easy to do on this screen, but Regina asked if you could show us how you share one more time. She said she knows it was in the top right corner.
Yes. So if we go to Explore GPTs, I'm going to the ones that I've created. So here are my GPTs. So if I wanted to send this business planner to you, I would click on Edit. And then at the top, you have to select the sharing that you want. So if you look here, it says only me, anyone with a link, or you can publish it to the GPT store for everybody to use. So I use the anyone with a link. So I don't want to just put it out there for everybody because this is based around Mississippi. So anyone with a link can have it. So how you share it, you click on the 3 dots and copy the link. When you copy that link, you just paste it in an email and send it. But again, the receiving person has to be a paid customer before you can use it. You can't be using GPT 3.5. It won't work. Let me go back. Let's do 1 or 2 of these other things. I told you about the story. So let's see if we can get this story to pull up. My internet's slow for some reason here. Here we go. So this is before I created that GPT, but I want you to look at the prompt. Everybody pay attention to the prompt here. You're an award-winning children's author and you write short stories often. So there, I gave it a persona, right? We're creating a story as a class project, working on standard. I gave it the standard, RL 3.4. I would like for you to write a story for 3rd graders. Need that story written at a 3rd grade Lexile. The story needs to be 300 words in length. It needs to be fun for the kids to read. I want you to include humor and positivity. Here are the details. So I pre-scripted that before walking in the classroom. So I said, there are 2 mice trapped in the trunk of a race car. The kids say the car starts up, mice started scurrying around. We heard the tires squeal, the mice tumbled around in the back, and they were scared. That came from 3rd graders, you can tell, right? So what does it do? It creates this story for me. And it literally took 2 seconds. So now all you have to do is click copy, move it over to a Microsoft Word and paste. It's that simple. It's easy to do. So then what else do kids like? They like pictures too, right? So then if you're on the paid version, Dolly is incorporated, which is an image generator. So I said, can you use Dolly to create a visualization? And it did. I can hear the simultaneous awe right now, right? So kids love pictures, so do teachers. You can create 2 or 3 of those if you want. So it's a lot of fun and really easy to do. Again, just so fast. Think about how many programs that would take you to do otherwise. And this will do it all for you in just a few seconds. Let's see. I'll show you a letter of recommendation. This is Paige Broman. I just wanted y'all to see. I don't know where the P came from. I just struggled typing, I guess. I don't know. She told me I could use this. This is our CFO. She was trying to get into leadership ranking. And you can tell I just copied and pasted, right? She had bullets and pictures and stuff. It doesn't matter. Go ahead and put all of it on there. And then it prints out the letter of recommendation. Because really, every letter of recommendation is about who the person is and what they've done. There's some personal stuff in the beginning, personal stuff in the end, which of course I added. But everything else in the letter of recommendation is about where they've been and what they've done. So it was really easy for her to do this. And then, let me show you a couple other things too. Get down to the bottom here. I want you to see this. So now let's have some fun with this. Write this letter in the style of Mark Twain. So you can have fun with it. I take up my pen to spin your yarn. Look, there's so many things that you can do with this. And look how fast that happened. This is done in just a couple of seconds. Let's see. Here's your role play as an angry parent. Read the prompt quickly. I know we're running low on time, so I'm going to stop for questions in just a few minutes. I just want you to see how when you add context, you can get the outputs that you want. Special ed teacher at the middle school. I'm having difficulty talking to parents in IEP meetings. I have a parent that's coming in to meet next week. I'm talking to GPT just like it's a human. That's what you have to get away from, like typing like you're talking to a computer. It is a language model. Talk to it like it's another human sitting across from you. You're angry about your child's grade. Please pretend you're the parent. Give me the responses as that angry parent. I would like to respond back to you, and I want you to evaluate those responses and give me ideas to soften my conversation. So here's what GPT said. Why are my child's grades so poor? I'm really upset. What's exactly is going on in your classroom? This is unacceptable. Nobody's ever sat through that meeting, right? So I want you to see my teacher's response. He has really been struggling in my classroom. We're giving him every accommodation that is listed. However, he is fidgety and tends to speak out of turn. I'm worried that he's having trouble concentrating. Is there anything wrong with that response? Absolutely not. Those are direct and to the point. However, listen to what GPT says. Your response is good, but we need to look for empathy, specifics, observations and concerns, and an invitation. Here's an example. I understand your concerns, and I want to assure you that your child's success is a top priority for me. Now, did we soften the tone? Absolutely. This is a simple way that you can create PD for teachers on the fly. It literally took me 2 minutes to type that prompt in. And now we have something for a teacher to sit down and practice with. Really, really cool stuff. Let me find a couple of other things for you that I want to show you. And notice everything is saved on the left-hand side unless you delete it. So every one of these is a new string. Let's see. Check this out. I want to show you this. RI 10.1, give me the standard. Scaffold the standard down to 7th grade. Give me some ideas to help teach this standard in the classroom. And then ChatGPT says, I don't have real-time access to this. Sometimes you have to argue. I said, the full standard is given prior to 2021, so you should have it. And it says, oh, my bad, sorry. I apologize. Here it is. So here's your standard. Here it is scaffolded down to 7th grade. Here's some ideas for teaching that standard. And I said, give me a good short text at the 10th grade level. And here it is. I said, that's great. This text is for 10th grade. Can you scaffold that down to 7th grade for me? There it is. Same story, scaffolded down to 7th grade. Can you give the story to me in Spanish at the same lexile? Boom. There it is. 7th grade lexile in Spanish. All I have to do is, again, copy, paste, airdrop. Now the kid's got it. It takes 2 seconds to do. Give me a 5-question multiple choice test on this story. As you can see, it started in Spanish. I'm like, oh, time out. I want it in English. There's your 5-question test based around that standard. So you see how intuitive this is, and somebody tested me and said, can it give it to me in Arabic? And there it is. Give me a question in Arabic. There you go. And I just stopped it. But it will do that. My question to you is, how many programs would you have to use to be able to do the things that I just did? And it took 30 seconds, maybe. A couple other things. Let's see. Create a behavior guide. I want to show you guys. Oh, here's a math problem. I'm a math person. My daughter came in the other night. She's like, Dad, I need help. Find the roots of this. Baby, it's been years since I've had algebra 2. Let me see what your teacher was doing in class. And I went, never mind. Let's just use ChatGPT. So it gave me the roots. And I said, show me how to work this problem. And it walks you through step by step on this problem. Can you see how intuitive this is for kids? Why wouldn't you use this at home? Let's see. Let me find, there's some other things. There's some work keys practice problems. I mean, goodness, anything that you want, it will do. Here's an interactive lesson. What did I give it? You're an award-winning science teacher at the elementary level. You're known for giving kids fabulous hands-on experiences within the classroom. We're now working on the density in 5th grade science. Give me some ideas to teach this. Look at this. Density tower, density ball mystery, density with solids, floating eggs, Cartesian divers, like all of these things, just generating ideas for teachers to use in the classroom. It's fabulous. Here's your simplification of a federal law. I literally just went and grabbed some crazy federal law out there, right? And I stuck it in here and said, simplify this. Well, this is a regulation code that related to agriculture in the national school program, right? Lunch program. I'm like, yeah, reword that. Don't really like it. I want you to simplify it again. So it's taken this massive law, right, with all of that in it, and simplified this down to me in 2 sentences. So really, really good for that. And of course, I was showing somebody else writing the style of Mark Twain. Well, sure, I can do that. And it did. Let me see. Let me show you this just so you're aware. I said I want to use Dolly. I want to create a pirate sitting on a pirate ship. I'd like his clothing to be blue and gold, obviously our school colors. I would like for the pirate to have an angry look on his face. This will be a mascot. So it created this. And I went, yeah, I really don't like that. Let's change that to a pirate head. So it did. I said, can you make his hat black or a little more black? So it did. So again, you see, I'm just adding and adding. Don't laugh at this. I stuck my own picture in here. I wanted to see that if it would edit my picture. So what it tells you, I can assist you with modifying. I can't edit or enhance real images. So know that if kids want to use this for something nefarious, like, and what's happening all over the country is kids are taking pictures of other kids and then using AI to take their clothes off and then sending those pictures out. They're not real, but you can't tell the difference. So kids can't put in a real picture and edit a picture. So just know that going in on this. So then we cruised around, and if you've seen our caught doing something good, this is the card that we used. I want to show you some really cool things with this. So we go around the district and give out, this is the card we actually use with whatever somebody wrote about somebody else. So then I said, can you use this picture as a guide and generate something very similar? And it did. And if you know us in Pearl, Brandon is a big rival for us. We don't do anything red here. So I said, okay, I need you to change the headband to blue. What did it do? Changed it to blue. And then I said, can you make several more pictures so we can show some racial diversity? And what did it do? My PR person would have taken hours to edit that picture or find other images that are very similar. So now I'm like, yeah, I like those, but not every one of them has the spyglass. We really like it. So I asked it to add the spyglass. And what did it do? And this took just a couple of minutes. So the point being is, again, you can use this for images. You can, for anything that you can think of. It is absolutely fabulous. Look at this. Uh-oh. There we go. So we wanted to run a t-test between 9th and 10th grade students to see how our 9th grade versus 10th grade algebra students fared. Normally our 8th and 9th grade are better kids at test taking. 10th grade, they've had 2 extra years of math before they took algebra. So, but I wouldn't want to see a huge gap, right? What we want to see is that gap close if they actually have another year or 2 of math. So I uploaded a file, and again, I scrubbed the file. There's no student data on it. I mean, nothing identifiable. There's no name, there's no student number. So I scrubbed that, uploaded that spreadsheet. So I said, I want you to run a t-test, and it gives me 148 scale scores, 127. Here's the t-stat. 5.35. We have a problem here. There's a mathematical difference between the two. This is where you can use it to use data to take back to your folks. And then I said, can you give me some visualizations of this? So it creates a histogram for me in 2 seconds. So you can see our grade 10. So you can see where it is in grade 9. Obviously, grade 9 is skewed over to the right here, right? And I said, well, that's not enough. So it gave me a box and whisker plot. And that tells the full story. So this is something it would have taken me quite some time to pull out those kids, run the t-test in Excel, interpret the test, then take it back to the teachers. This is done for me. So anyway, just another way that you can use this. I'm really trying to find the one. Hold on. Let me look at this. There we go. All right. So this is the state file that comes to you. You know, the one that's got everything on it, right? The one that's sent out to the media. So as you can see, I uploaded that file and then it starts talking to me. Okay, I'm checking this, I'm checking this, I'm checking this. I would like to see Pearl scores versus other schools with regard to rankings in each grade for math and ELA. So what's it do? It tells me what it's doing and then it gives me the information. And that took less than 2 minutes. And then I said, can you create a bar graph showing this for me? There it is. And I said, yeah, I like the graph, but I want to flip it 90 degrees with bars going from bottom to top. And I would also like each grade to be displayed in a different color. What did it do? Do you know how long that would have taken me to do? All of this is done in just a couple of minutes. I have every comparison done. And again, you can only upload if you're on the paid version. Okay. So it's just something to remember as well. 3.5 will not do that for you, but you can see how 4.0 is absolutely fabulous for the things that you do in your job. And again, folks, I can show you 1,000 examples here. I think I would stop right now and maybe open this up for any questions y'all might have. I don't want to keep you all afternoon. I can go on with this for the next 2 hours and show you tons of stuff, but I at least want to have maybe some Q&A if you've got any questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys, please feel free to put your questions in the chat. There is a question that I want to ask. I'm going to go back through and kind of make sure I caught all of these in the chat. So one user did ask if ChatGPT will create PowerPoints. Another user actually said, yes, it will, but I'm curious, Mr. Chism, have you ever used it to create PowerPoints?
So I don't use it to create PowerPoints. I mean, that's built into Copilot is built into your PowerPoint stuff, and Copilot will. So I don't really use that function. You can. I would just rather create things myself. But you can use Copilot. Copilot is exactly the same thing as ChatGPT. The only difference with Copilot is you don't get Dolly. That's your image producer there.
Yes.
Good question though.
And we've had quite a few requests for you to share the additional instructions that you gave ChatGPT. So what I'm going to do is when we end today, see if I can get that from you, and we will just share that with everybody. That way you're not sending it, you're not having to send a lot of different emails. If that's fine with you, I'll just send it out to everyone. Okay, great. Let's see. And then we had someone ask if you mind sharing your AI board policy and acceptable use policy that you guys have in.
So that's a really interesting question because we have not changed that yet. We feel like right now that our AUP covers everything that we need, and our board policy covers discipline for cheating. So I don't think we're there yet. I think at some point we may need a policy. We're just not putting one in yet. We want to see how teachers use this. We want to see what problems we run into. What I don't want to do is upfront, and this is just me, what I don't want to do is limit what they can do with it before they play with it a little bit, if that makes sense. So we have not changed our AUP. We kept everything the same, and we kept our discipline policy the same as well. We feel like right now everything falls under that.
And I would add, I appreciate that because I would think, Melissa, from our guidance document that there's a similar point, which is that you likely have policies for all of the issues that you're going to be dealing with artificial intelligence. There is a way to think about, as the superintendent suggesting, is to kind of live with it a bit, but these should all be reinforcing the foundation that's already in place in your in your system, in your district.
Yes.
That's a good question too. We're just taking a very different approach. I've had lots of districts reach reach out to me because and again, I don't want anybody on this call to think that every teacher in my district is using this every single day. Folks, that is not what's happening. I have been very prescriptive in the groups. We have done tons of small groups, and I usually go in and give them this presentation, but then also warp it into what they want to use it for. Like our 4th and 5th grade folks didn't like the poetry that was included in on the curriculum that came with us. So I use this presentation to move it into poetry and teach them how to use it for poetry, and hopefully that gets them using it a little bit for other things as well. So this has been a process in the district. Again, it's not like we had some big come to Jesus, everybody here, and we're all go and be merry. That's not how that worked. Been very prescriptive about going to them on times that are good for the school, good for the teachers, and having something very specific that they want to cover.
Great. We've got a few more questions that have come
Sure.
in. Do you limit the age of students who use ChatGPT, or maybe talk specifically the difference of teacher use and student use in your district?
Right. We're really using it for high school students. We don't use it much at the junior high level. You know, if it is, it's just introductory. But high school kids are using it. And again, it's under teacher direction. And again, for us, we can lock everything in. So that makes it really easy for us to do that. And a lot of this is not necessarily on every student computer. From time to time, sure, it is. But a lot of this is done on the fly with the teacher on the board. You know, I think that's the part that people miss. There's so many things that you can do. You run into a word that you don't know or understand, or the kids don't get, right? You can ask it for 3 sentences using that word. Now we just had a context clue lesson. So those are some of the ways that we work it in. But from the junior high level down, we really don't use it very much. Now, teacher
awesome.
usage, they can do whatever they want to right now.
Whatever, yeah.
We don't limit any program. And let me mention this too. Some people around the state are using, I think it's called Magic School. That is an AI program. I think the thing that if you're using this, these are some of the things that I've seen and heard. That is built for something that's nationwide and sometimes even multiple countries as well. So if you ask for something in the SPED world, it doesn't know what Mississippi requirements are for SPED. It doesn't know what local policy says. So whenever I build something for SPED, I want to build it myself. I want it based around federal law. I want it based around state policy, and I want it based around our school district policy. So you got to be careful when you use something that's nationwide. That's why I prefer to build things on my own.
Few more questions that have come in.
Sure.
Are teachers and students using the free version, or is the district paying for 4.0 for the users?
That is a question that comes up in every event. Right now, here are the issues that we've run into it. They only do $20 a month. So teachers want to use EEF cards for that. Well, your EEF card gets cut off, right? So they don't have an option for that just yet. They do have an enterprise option, and we have emailed OpenAI to try to give us an enterprise option. What I'd like to do is purchase it for all administrators in the district, just to get them familiar with it and use it. The 4.0 version. And then also you can do $25 and there's a Teams version of this. So in other words, if your entire math team, if you paid $25, all of your math teachers can be in one GPT working together. So there's some other things that are available. The district has not purchased anything yet, but that is something, actually, we just had a budget meeting this morning that we are looking at doing, at least for administrators. I really want them to get used to using it so they can help teachers. I'm showing it to teachers, let them use the free version or pay for it themselves. But I do feel like over the next probably year to 2 years, we're going to purchase it full blown for everybody that works in the district. We're still waiting on a response from OpenAI for this. Just to get, this has been about a week and a half when I put in the request, and they have pricing for like 0 to 50 or 51 to 150. It depends on how many people you have that you're looking to get a license for. So that option is there. I just don't have a response yet.
That's exciting. We have a question. Are you able to upload a video of a lesson a teacher presented and AI give feedback on how to make it more effective?
I haven't tried that. I'm not sure that this is really built for video. You know, there's a certain amount of characters that you can put in. I think in fact, I know with Sora, you will definitely be able to do that. It's just not, I don't think that's built for that now. Really, this is more text and image based. Sora will have your video portion of that. There may be some other AI company out there that's doing that. I just don't think that OpenAI is ready for that quite yet. I think you will see that in the 5.0 version.
Okay, wonderful. Let's see. What about scripted notes? Oh, that's in relation to the video, creating scripted notes from the observation.
Right.
All right. I think that's all the questions that I am seeing in the chat at this moment.
And if anybody wants, I'm more than happy to send some of these if you're on the paid version. If you'd like the RFP creator, I'm more than happy to email that to you. Several districts have done this. I've already done trainings on this for about 9 districts. I think I'm booked for about 12 more over the next several months. So I may be coming to you guys. I don't know where everybody's from, but you may be seeing me down the road to do this presentation for a group in your district.
Awesome. Well, let me just say then, thank you again, Superintendent, for joining us today. This has been a treasure trove of information and insight. I think great participation, great attendance, and we'll be cobbling this together and getting this up on our website as soon as possible and circulating to the audience links to make sure they can come back and get it. And Melissa, thank you again for all your leadership and work on the guides document. And the department would love to hear how we can help you all further out in the field to adapt to the new environment. And thank you again for participating, and we look forward to seeing you on our next webinar. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.